Download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you to everybody joining us this morning over at woodwardsports.com. We see all of you in the Woodward Sports chat as always. Oh, it's Wednesday.
It is.
And you know what? We not only do we have a jam-packed show today, Jeff, but I have an admission to make.
Talk to me.
Oh, I'll talk to you.
What's up?
At 9 o'clock, I'll talk to you.
Oh, okay.
I have a problem. And I want your help. I want your help. I want everybody who's watching at home's help. I want your guys' help. Because I do think I'm wrong.
Oh, wait, what did you just say?
And when I'm wrong, I'd like to admit that I'm wrong, number one. Number two, I'd like to discuss why I was wrong and get your guys' feedback. So we'll do that at 9 o'clock. Of course, at 8:15, Sean Murphy's going to join us, talk about the Detroit Pistons preseason. 8:45, Anthony Broome, Michigan football talk. Can't wait for that. Second hour, we'll get to Jeff Okudah. We'll get to MicroMike. MicroMike joining us at 9:30. And then, of course, the Detroit Red Wings. We got to talk about the Red Wings. It's gearing up. Hockey's officially back. Wings open up Friday. Season preview. I have a bold prediction to make. Not for the team, but for one individual.
I think I know where you're going with this.
I've told you before, we haven't done a segment on it yet.
Right.
So we're going to go there today. I can't wait. It's going to be a great show. I'm very excited. Again, thank you to everybody joining us this morning. Jeff, let's get started. What you saw last night. Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, the Detroit Pistons, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Your takeaways.
Well, let's just start with thoughts and prayers with Marvin Bagley, because that injury did not look good. I know he slipped on the court. Honestly, at the least, it could be a knee sprain. At the worst, it could be an ACL. So I don't know the extreme of it yet. I got to talk to some people about it, and he still has to get probably an MRI still. But on top of it, just watching the game overall, listen, they lost, but there's certainly some things you could take away from it. Killian Hayes, probably number one. To start the game 4 for 4 from 3, obviously, and 4 for 6 from 3, scored 20 points. He just looked like a different player, different mentality. That's kind of what we've been asking out of Killian. We've seen him working all offseason, but we saw him working all last offseason. But you didn't see it translate in the regular season. So I'm excited. It was awesome to see Killian, because you expect him. If he's going to be your 6th or 7th man, he's got to come with that aggression, and he did that last night. It seems like he does that every time he plays Oklahoma City for some reason. But, again, that was one of those positives. Another one you could certainly take away, and this is a guy who's going to have to step up, because when guys get injured, guys get opportunities. And one of those guys is going to be Jalen Duren. And you saw him play 25 minutes last night, another 10-rebound performance. He had 14, I believe, in game 1 of the preseason. He's a physical specimen, and he's going to be playing even more minutes now that Marvin Bagley's down. So, again, from the starters' perspective, I saw people talking about Cade. I know he's in a shooting slump in preseason. This is the point of preseason, to get your legs under you, get your form ready. I mean, I'm not worried about Cade shooting 0 for 5 from 3. I'll worry about it when we're in the regular season, 10 games in, and he's still struggling. Right now, I'm not going to overreact. I know Saddiq Bey, the last 2 games, has had bounce-back performances. He's getting primed up for the regular season. But overall, Adam, I know people got frustrated with the rotations, and I know there's a video going around on Twitter, which I did check out, and it is interesting because the Pistons do switch everything. And I forgot who posted it, but pointing out basically that this isn't going to work, being able to switch everything, because you could see, I mean, the Pistons and their pick-and-roll defense is just absolutely atrocious, and that's something they're going to have to work on. I don't have a problem. I'm not going to say it's a problem right now that they do switch everything on defense, but it was just nice to see those guys out playing at them. Cade and Jaden playing together. There's going to be those ups and downs. They each had 4 turnovers. I mean, this is what we're going to have to expect, 2 young point guards. The famous saying is, if you want to lose games, play young guards. They have 2 of them. So it's going to be a long season. But overall, Adam, I liked what I saw. I mean, Jaden Ivey, as 4 for 12, 0 for 3 from 3. Not the most efficient, but you saw him playing. I mean, the guy didn't quit. I think he can be an even better defender than what people give him credit for. He's an incredible passer, and I think you're just seeing teases of what you're going to see in the regular season from Jaden Ivey. So no complaints. I know they're 0-3, and people are probably going to freak out, hit the panic button already in the preseason, but this is pretty much just an extended practice just to get these guys, going, get them into shape. I'm not too concerned.
Detroit Pistons fans temper expectations.
Right.
For Killian Hayes. And what I mean by that is, look, the reality is he was the number 7 overall pick?
7th overall pick.
He hasn't played like that. He hasn't played like a lottery player. And what you got last night, boy, that's nice.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not a starter. But could he be one of the better 6-mans in the NBA? I wouldn't say this year. But we always do this with Killian, right? Gives you a good performance, shoots well. The, quote, confidence is there. That's always a thing. It's a mental thing with Killian. If he could just get over whatever's in his head mentally, he put up 14, 7, and 6 a game.
Right.
What do I do with Killian Hayes this year? As a guy who's probably going to get anywhere from 24 to 30 minutes a game?
I would say probably 24 would be the best bet.
Depends on the night, but
yeah,
give or take. You're looking at a guy that's going to be in the 6-man of the year contention. But is he? Is he going to give you 4-6 from 3? Probably not.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
Is he going to give you a 3 a game? Maybe a 3.5.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Hopefully. He does fill up the box score. Rebounds, assists. What do I need to expect from Killian Hayes? Because I've done this conversation with you so many times.
Right.
You tell me, what should I expect from Killian Hayes this year, along with everybody else?
Well, I think a great comment that's on WoodwardSports.com by Pistons fan, and this is my ideology as well. Killian is like Okudah. Not likely to live up to the draft pick, but you want a contributor. That's my mindset for Killian this year. I know people on Twitter, you should have seen it last night. I mean, it was insane. People talking about 6-man of the year, most improved player. I'm like, guys, Killian is, I'll just say it, this is my opinion. I don't think he's going to win either of those awards, but that doesn't mean he can't be a solid contributor for your basketball team. If the guy can average 10, 5, and 5 off your bench, all 30 teams will take that. So 32 teams. So I'm not going to freak out about Killian Hayes and what I expect out of him. I just want Killian Hayes, and that's why being aggressive is so important for Killian, because he has all the tools, physical tools. He can be a great defender. He's 6'5". He's got the length. You saw him last night. That's why I always say it's more of a mindset thing. It's not like he can't do it. The shooting for him does look good, though. He changed that in the offseason. He looks like he could be a better, especially off the ball, catch and shoot guy, especially with Jaden Ivey and Cade. He's going to have to be that sometimes. But for me, Adam, my expectation is just give me 10, 5, and 5 off the bench. I'll take that every single night, because considering right now, he's going to be the Pistons are going to have a point guard on the court at all times. That's just the reality. It's either Cade and Jaden Ivey. If either one of those guys are off the floor, you have Killian Hayes in the ball game. So that's the benefit of having a guy like Killian, is you have 3 guys that are incredible passers that can run your offense. And if Killian turns on that that switch in his mind, you saw it last night, driving to the rack, being aggressive, taking it to the cup, opening up shots for other guys. That's the Killian you want to see, creating shots for others. And when it's time to eat, he's got to eat. And again, that was the thing in the past. It's just kind of lacking that aggression, that dog in him. But hopefully you get to see some of that Killian this year. So my expectations, man, just give me 10 points. That's all I ask. That's something that Killian hasn't been able to do, but I think he can do it. Off the bench, you're going to get 25 minutes a night. Go be aggressive. Take 10 shots a game. Make 5 of them. Make 4 of them. I mean, that's what I expect out of Killian. And if he could do that, I already know what he's going to bring me on defense. I already know what he can bring with his passing ability. He's a tremendous passer. But more importantly, I think for Killian, or not just for Killian, he's playing with better talent around him, which is important, because off the bench, this is the most talent. This is the most deepest team, you could argue, in a couple of years. And on top of that, it's the most talent Killian's played with off the bench. So those are 2 things he has going for him. Hopefully the injury to Marvin Bagley isn't a long-term injury. Hopefully he can be back sooner than later. You're telling me you have Livers, Bagley, Duren, and Alec Burks playing alongside Killian? That's more talent than he's ever had. So, again, everything's set up for Killian to succeed. It's a big year for him. The Pistons are going to have to make a decision after this year, and I really do. I think Killian can go do it. My expectation, to sum it up, Adam, is just be serviceable. Be a guy that you can come off your bench and make plays. And make plays for himself as well. That's all I ask.
I'm with you. I'm not doing the all-star team.
No,
I'm not doing
no.
sixth man of the year. I'm not doing most improved. No. But there is one element of his game that we've always complimented. The defense. He's lengthy.
Right.
Gives other guards problems. Killian Hayes has the tools to be pretty much a complete player. Now, it's the shooting need to get better. He's working on it. He's really giving it a go. You made the Jeff Okudah comparison, or somebody in the chat, Woodward Sports
Pistons
chat
fan.
did.
Yeah, he made that one.
I get it. I just don't see it. I don't see. The only thing I would take away from that is, he likely will not live up to the pick. Fair. That I'll agree with.
Right.
But I think Hayes has a longer runway here to make it happen and make it work. Where Jeff Okudah, I mean, we'll get to him at what, 9:15? It ain't looking all that good. It ain't.
Yeah.
You know where he ranks on PFF in terms of pass coverage in the NFL?
It's down there.
72nd
Out of
way too many.
oh gosh. Well,
There's 32 teams. Each team has 2 starting corners. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's 64. He doesn't even qualify in the top 64. And pass coverage, Will Harris has a higher rating.
started off strong.
So no, I don't like the Killian Okudah comparison, because one is just not giving you anything. Hayes is giving you flashes.
Right.
And I don't mind it. We got Sean Murphy coming up in a few minutes. We'll see what he thinks of Killian Hayes, what his future looks like. 8:30, we'll get to Brad Holmes. Is Brad Holmes a problem?
We got to just get to it.
And you know what? I've heard it. I've heard the conversations, whether it's on social threads, throughout YouTube, wherever it may be, whether it's even on some of our shows that we have here at the network. All I've heard about is Brad Holmes, the talent. Phone lines are open. I'm curious. 313-552-6322 at 8:30. Is Brad Holmes a problem? I want to know. I'll tell you what I think. But I don't think you're going to like what I think. But thankfully, I don't care if you like it or not. I'll still tell you. Having said that, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, Sean Murphy will be joining us. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Check out their new podcast called This is the S Word, which will help fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, tell them or yourself to head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward.
All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports.
Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling game. 2 to play for $12, the unlimited open play, or you could pay $120. Get the lane reservation for up to 10 people. $2 mystery beer machine, full bar. Check it all out, fullingwarehouse.com. We're back on the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And joining us is a very good friend of mine, someone who covers the Pistons for Woodward Sports, does a lot of content on From Half Court, Woodward Pistons, Sean Murphy. Welcome to the show, Sean. How you doing?
Jeff, my guy, Adam, it's good to see you guys as always. I'm feeling great, man. Pistons basketball is a week from today, opening night. I'm ready to talk some basketball, man. Let's go.
Well, Sean, you're a logical man. Like, certainly they're 0-3, but there's a lot of things you could take away. And I want to start with last night. Killian Hayes. I mean, we'll just start with the obvious one. What are we watching? Like, who is this Killian, Sean? Please. I mean, I'm trying to identify him. 4 for 6 from downtown. He looked like a completely different player, and this is the Killian we've all been asking for. But what are your thoughts on Killian's performance last night? Because it seems like every time he plays the Thunder, he turns into like French MJ.
Yeah, it feels like he just channels his inner James Harden every single time the Oklahoma City Thunder are on the other side of the gym. But in all seriousness, I think what you're seeing out of Killian is not only, like what fans have been clamoring for, what analysts have been clamoring for, but also what Killian said himself, what he knew and he needed to do, which is he's being more aggressive. And look, through 3 games, it's not like it's been, perfect throughout the entirety, of the preseason. There's been times where, Killian's had some shots that looked rushed. There's moments, the Pelicans game wasn't his finest night, but 2 of the 3 games so far, Killian Hayes has been one of the best players for the Pistons in the preseason. And, his jump shot at this point, there's still things about it that are flawed. It's not that his offensive game at this point is perfect. But, Jeff, you said the word in the last segment. You know what it is? Serviceable. And that's the thing that Killian Hayes' offensive game is needed to be in order for him to stay on the court. Serviceable. Because there's so many other things that he brings to the court that complements this Pistons roster. And, look, are we saying that Killian's going to be able to be on this roster long-term beyond this year? Still have no clue. He still has to actually go out and do this during the regular season. But if Killian can actually show that confidence to actually take more than 3 or 4 shots a game, because that's the thing. There would be times where it feels like Killian would take 3 shots a night. Now it's looking like Killian's taking 3 to 4 shots a quarter, which for him, that aggression, that change in pace, that's only going to add to his game and to his effectiveness. I mean, we see the passing is more than serviceable. The defense, more than serviceable. This guy just needs a jump shot that can keep him on the court. So far, it's looking like he's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, no, his form looks good. I mean, and another thing, obviously, we talk about the good news, but also the bad news. Marvin Bagley went out. And I want to ask you, I don't know what it is yet. I don't know if it's been reported, if you know, but it looked at the least maybe a knee sprain, at the worst possibly an ACL injury. It sucks to see because we've been covering Marvin Bagley on From Half Court. We've been talking about him for a while. But your opinion, what does that loss mean to the Pistons? This is a guy that, could have started, could have came off the bench. Either way, it would have been a very integral part of what they were going to do this year. But your thoughts on the loss of Marvin Bagley in preseason, which is even more unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a tough blow, and I think the really difficult part about any of those types of injuries is whenever you see a non-contact injury. I mean, all that happened was Marvin Bagley's foot was just merely stepped on, and it could be a sprain, it could just be a few weeks, it could be a few months, it could be a year. That's the difficult thing, but I think the mentality for the Pistons has to be next man up, right? I think whether he's ready or not, I think this immediately puts Jalen Duren in a more elevated role day one. I mean, we saw last night, obviously no Bojan Bogdanovic in the lineup either for Detroit last night, so that gives that gave even more of a runway for Jalen Duren. I think having more, I think this opens the door for more guys like Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart at the 4, but also Isaiah Livers as well off the bench. I think this opens up more time for him. I mean, for the Pistons, I mean, it's a tough loss, yes. But I mean, the nature of this game, the nature of this league is you have to go to the next man up. I think, Detroit's more able to handle injuries this season because of the depth that they have, within their bench, and the guys that they do have to bring into the lineup. But Marvin's definitely going to be missed. I mean, his size on both ends was something that, made the Pistons better. last year when he was in the lineup.
Right.
And in addition, he's a reliable lob threat, a guy who can go out and create like 18 to 20 points of offense on his own if need be. So he's definitely going to be missed. We'll see what the severity is over the next couple of days. But you said it, Jeff, just a tough blow for a guy that, was coming into a season with, a new offseason deal, refreshed mindset, first full year in Detroit. Hopefully gets back on the court sooner rather than later.
No, absolutely. And obviously with one player being injured, other opportunities open up for other players. And you mentioned him already, Jalen Duren, but not just Jalen, Jaden Ivey. And that's a guy we got to see both of them last night. Obviously, Jaden Ivey, 4 for 12, 0 for 3 from 3. What stood out to me is two things, and I want to get your thoughts on it. His passing ability, which is very underrated. We've been echoing that for months. But another thing is defensively, which I don't think people talk about enough because what he brings as it is with his size and length, 6'4", 6'10" wingspan. Give your thoughts on Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren's performance last night against the Thunder.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that's been apparent over these first 3 games of the preseason, it's that Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey belong in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially Jaden Ivey looks more than comfortable on both ends of the court. I think, there was a lot of talk coming into the league of what his defensive game could be. And look, I think of, specifically, I think of, the block that he had in transition last night. I think of, forcing the jump ball as well. Jaden Ivey, there's moments where he's really scrappy and can get at it on both ends of the court. And I think for him, it's just that continued confidence, that continued consistency. And I think with Jalen Duren, I think it's just the continued flashes of seeing that guy, seeing that guy in the open court. It's like, oh my gosh, he is a dog. And if there's anything about Jalen Duren, that I said to you right away after the Knicks game, the very first preseason game, I was like, Jeff, this guy ain't touching the G League. It's just not happening, right? So I think, we've seen, his ability to rebound the basketball too at such a high effective level. We saw a little bit more of his offensive game during Oklahoma City as well. I think the one thing with Jalen Duren is important to remember though. He's not even 19 yet. He doesn't turn 19 until December. And I think you saw, some of the signs of that, just in the first 6.5 minutes of the game when Duren came in for Bagley, he had 3 fouls before the end of the first quarter, right? And that's just against Oklahoma City. If you think that's happening against the Thunder, imagine if he's playing a team like the Lakers with veterans like LeBron James on the other side. He'll have 5 fouls in 5 minutes. Like, that's just the way this goes, right? So he certainly still needs that runway, to make mistakes, to grow his game, to get better. But overall, I mean, both guys look ready to go.
Another person that we got to talk about, we would be, it would be a big miss if we did not talk about, is Cade Cunningham. And I know people, especially on Twitter, concerned about the shooting slump he's currently in. I'm not. I assume you're not either. I mean, we talk about these things. But overall, you saw defensively Cade step up as well. 3 steals, 2 blocks. Like, hey, shots may not be falling. I always say, if your shots aren't falling, who are you? And Cade and Jaden, they play defense. But what's your concern level? Because my approach to this would be, I'm not concerned with Cade in the preseason now. For 10, 15 games into the season and he's struggling, then you could point it out. But right now, I'm not too concerned. What's your concern level with Cade in the shooting slump he's currently in the preseason?
Yeah, you said it, Jeff. I mean, if there's going to be any concern at all, it's going to be if this is a trend over the course of the regular season. But even then, I mean, this isn't completely unforeseen territory, right? We saw Cade have a shooting slump at the beginning of last season. And even then, this is the preseason. This is his first preseason at that as well. And, I think of, obviously I know a lot of people think of Draymond Green for that punch on Jordan Poole right now. But I think specifically of an interview he did a couple of years ago talking about, his time in the Warriors during their rebuild. And he was talking about how part of his biggest struggle was the fact that he is one of the worst, worthless game players that he knows. And I think, with Cade Cunningham, I think, when looking, in particular at preseason or games that don't necessarily have direct consequence, I think he's one of those guys that like naturally, like Jaden Ivey, he has his foot on the gas pedal at every given moment. Right. I think Cade Cunningham's that type of guy where he doesn't truly get that 100%, full attentive competitiveness unless it's like a regular season game with, where things are on the line, right? So I would imagine, and look, at the end of the day, if you're really concerned about Cade Cunningham, do yourself a favor, go on YouTube or League Pass, go back to the end of last season when the Pistons played the Brooklyn Nets and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and watch when Cade Cunningham dropped 27 to 34 points in the second half. That's all I got to say. If a guy can do that against Kevin Durant in the second half, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah,
so
no question.
I think it's a lot of overreaction, to be honest with you. I get it, but I think at the end of the day, let's give him a couple weeks. Let's see how he plays, next week against Paolo at home, and then talk to me then.
Yeah, it's always that recency bias. I feel like that goes across all Detroit sports too. You see something, you see 2 games of Cade struggling in preseason, they're like, oh, it's over. He's trash. It's like, no, guys, remember last year? Like he had the slump in the beginning of the year and he turned it around. So I'm not too concerned. I think he'll be just fine. But I want to ask you, because this is a trend I've been seeing in every preseason game so far, and I'm not sure what to make of it. They've been outscored in the paint all 3 straight games. And again, like Marvin Bagley goes out now. Now you have really Duren, Nerlens Noel will be back eventually. You're probably going to start Isaiah Stewart at the 5, and he actually didn't play. He actually played pretty well defensively. But is there a concern level for you in terms of, because last year this is a storyline we talked about, is how many times they were outscored in the paint. But for this to be a trend in the preseason, does it concern you at all heading into the regular season?
I mean, it's certainly one of those things that you look at the box score, and if there is a thing that you can be concerned with, I definitely think defense is one of those areas that this team's just going to have to get better as the season goes on, right? I think one thing to consider about preseason is that there's significant stretches that feature players that you're just not going to see during the regular season. And I was watching last night's game, and the part of the game where it really seemed to fall apart, where Detroit really had no really resistance in the paint whatsoever, was when they were fielding a lineup that featured Killian Hayes, Rodney McGruder, Corey Joseph, Braxton Key at the center. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Jeff, Braxton Key's not going to be playing a whole lot of minutes this year, let alone minutes at the center. So I think some of those stats are, and I'm not making excuses, right?
Right.
There are moments where, the Pistons interior defense is just like, all right, well, are you going to have any form of resistance? But I think, last night, I think you saw a little bit more of that Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, partnership in the paint. And I think you saw, some potential of what that can look like. I think this is one of those things where as the season goes on, as this team has more opportunities, more reps, I think they'll get better. I'm not overly concerned right now, just because, again, there's still key contributors to this team that haven't even suited up yet. Alec Burks, Amadou Diallo, Nerlens Noel, who in my opinion will definitely have, a hand in the points in the paint conversation that we're having. So we haven't even seen the full team yet. So I think it's just important to keep those things in mind.
No, regular season is upon us. Next week, we'll be down there. Me, you, Kool-Aid. We'll have the old Woodward Pistons crew. It'll be a blast. It'll be a blast. But thank you, Sean, for joining us again. Check Sean out from Half Court at Half Court Sean. Am I correct?
At Sean Half Court.
Sean Half Court. I'll get it eventually. Follow my man, Sean Half Court, on Twitter, on social media. Appreciate you, Sean, for joining us. We'll have you on soon.
Oh, heck yeah,
Hi,
man.
I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit. But we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
You know what will get you up in the morning? Cintron. The great tasting Cintron, because it's the official energy drink of the Red Wings. And if you're watching the Pistons game last night, you saw those Cintron commercials. Check out their 6-pack sampler box. You can see it if you're watching on woodwardsports.com. They have cranberry, original, sugar-free. You can get your 6-pack sampler box at cintronworld.com/Red Wings. Get energized with Cintron.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you to everybody joining us this morning. What's up, Jeff?
What's going
sorry,
on?
Sean.
You just put Sean in a body bag
I
there.
know, I'm sorry, Sean. My bad.
Come on, dude. All right, no, we're
my
good.
bad, Sean.
Sean always brings the heat, man. Gotta love him.
All right, look. Phone lines are open. 313-552-6322. Alex, whenever you get a chance, pin it in the Woodward Sports chat. Is Brad Holmes the problem? That's a very open-ended question. Is Brad Holmes the problem? Is he the reason why the Lions aren't performing to your expectations, my expectations, whatever it may be? And I would like to start from the very beginning. Let's go to their draft history, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He walks in, Penei Sewell. Any complaints?
No.
Cool.
No complaints for me.
Levi Onwuzurike, played hurt last year, has been an MIA all this season. I'll move for you. Don't worry. I got you, buddy. Aleem McNeil, serviceable player. Iffy, can't stay healthy. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we all know, phenomenal. Derek Barnes, then Jamar Jefferson. You go to this year, Hutchinson, Williams, Pascal haven't seen the field yet. Neither is James Houston, who was cut, I believe, is on the practice squad still. Could be wrong.
Yeah, he is.
Then there's Kirby Joseph giving you starts. James Mitchell now healthy, playing. Malcolm Rodriguez starting. Chase Lucas now having to step up and play. If you look through the last 2 years around the entire NFL, go to every team that's drafted. Do you know which rookies have played the most snaps in all of the NFL? Detroit.
Yeah, second youngest team.
Second youngest team, but also
They
his
play those guys.
draft picks are playing.
Right.
Now, do I love Derek Barnes? Do I love Levi Onwuzurike? Do I love so far what I've seen out of Kirby Joseph? No, but he's 5 games in. So we're not doing that subject today. And number 2, you already have potentially 3 starters from this draft class, along with 3 from last year. That is 6 starters in 2 years. What did I tell you about the Chargers? What did I tell you about the Bills? Stacking draft classes, right? Moving forward. Draft class after draft class after draft class. That's how you build a contender. Now, is Brad Holmes accountable for the salary cap and what he did, and he didn't sign free agents? Jeff, he fixed your salary cap. A salary cap that over the next few years will be one of the better ones in the league. A very healthy salary cap. Not much money on the books, that it's dead money. That'll be done in a few years. That's nice. You look at the Jared Goff contract. The reality is, hey, you know what? You play him, great. You can pay him. It's a premium price anyways. You're not really killing yourself for it. But I want to circle back a little bit. Back to Brad Holmes. Is he the problem? No. Did Brad Holmes kick an onside kick, by the way, against Philly? Did Brad Holmes call the timeout last year against Baltimore?
I don't believe
on
so.
a running clock after they had just sacked Lamar Jackson? Did Brad Holmes do any of that? I might be wrong.
No, I don't believe so. No, he did not do that. Does not make calls on the field.
It's a joke. The GM, you may not like some of his picks, or the fact that Pascal hasn't seen the field, and that Jameson Williams hasn't seen the field. They can't help right now, Adam. They can't help right now, Jeff. What are we doing in Detroit? We can't afford to take players who are hurt. Jameson Williams was the best wide receiver from the previous draft class. The only reason the Lions were even able to take him was because of his injury. Oh, well, Adham, Jordan could have taken Jordan Davis. Could have taken Kyle Hamilton. Could have taken Devin Lloyd. Jeff, my question to you before we go to the people. If I put Devin Lloyd on this football team, if I put Jordan Davis on this football team, are they still 1-4 or are they better?
That's
I'm asking.
That's a tough
because
one.
This is a Brad Holmes issue.
Well, I would say they're better because we haven't seen Josh Pascal, so I don't know, and you haven't seen Jameson, so but that's not fair because he's not expecting to get better quicker. Those guys are supposed to be, long-term options. I think yes, Devin Lloyd and Jordan Davis will make an immediate impact. We don't know the impact of Jameson Williams or Josh Pascal yet, so I don't think that question's really fair, to be honest with you. But to answer your question, yes, I think they'd be better because they have two guys.
You think they would have a win or two more?
Yeah.
I don't think you're taking the games into context. I don't.
Well, you have two guys that could be making plays on defense.
Does having Jordan Davis or Devin Lloyd prevent Dan Campbell from kicking an onside kick in the third quarter?
They maybe force a punt against Seattle. I mean, come on. Let's be honest.
Jeff, one player. One player.
Well, if you had Devin Lloyd instead of Anzalone, I don't know. It's just not a fair, it's not a fair question. Devin Lloyd has 2 picks through 5 games. Like, he's playing well.
Look, any GM worth their salt, right? They get maybe 2 every 3 drafts. They get 2-3 players, right? Every draft, if you get 2-3 players, man, you're considered one of the better GMs. But Jeff, what is a GM known for? What are the decisions the GM makes where you actually hold them to the fire? Quarterback and coach
and head coach.
And Brad Holmes is yet to make that decision. So I don't believe I am doing a good enough job here. I don't. Clearly, I am biased towards Brad Holmes, whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm the wrong one. But remember, Atlanta, New York, Seattle, hell, you can even look to, let's say, Jacksonville. You have drafted as many good players as they have since Brad Holmes has been here, if not more. Brad Holmes the problem. We'll go to the people. Let's go to Rick out in Arizona. Rick, you're on the Morning Woodward Show. Am I wrong? Does Brad Holmes need to be held more accountable, or is the reality that players aren't receiving proper coaching?
Well, I think actually it's just a combination of both, guys, if you want the truth. Right now I'm going to give Brad Holmes kind of an incomplete grade. I like what he's actually done with the salary cap. My biggest issue is that we had a depleted team to begin with, where you had nobody. We started drafting players and guys from college that were, they're going to start. There's literally nobody else on that team to take those positions. So those guys have to go in. They have to start. But my biggest issue really is, we've got players out there, but we don't have, or actually that's what we have. We have guys right now. There's nobody out there that we are, looking at going, hey, this guy's a game changer. This guy's, he's producing. Yeah, we got Amon-Ra St. Brown, but, do you really? I mean, we give Brad Holmes credit for drafting that guy, but you look at him and you go, man, this dude's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got a heart. He was disrespected, and he felt like he was disrespected. And how do you put that into context when you're drafting him? You can't. You look at Economus and you don't think that you're going to get that same type of drive that you get with Amon-Ra. So I give Amon-Ra the credit on that one. I give Brad Holmes the credit for drafting him, but right now, in 2 drafts, we've got basically a first and 2 second rounders that have not seen the field. Those guys should be difference makers in year 1 or year 2, regardless. And then here we are, we're in year 2, and shit, dude, we haven't even seen a second rounder touch the field yet. I'm going to give him a little bit. He's got to take a little bit of responsibility for it, but coaching is also another issue. and the fact that we just didn't even have freaking players to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, we're going to have guys put out there. You have to. Somebody's got to go out on the field.
Right. My issue is we're 5 games into the season, and I believe if this is a 2-3 or 3-2 football team, nobody is talking about the talent. That's the truth, in my opinion. Could be wrong. But I believe if you're 3-2 and you do your job against Seattle, which is just forcing a punt, and you take care of business in the fourth quarter against Minnesota, if you are 3-2, like you should be, like a properly coached football team would be in this moment, I don't believe anybody's talking about Josh Fiscal. I think everybody would be patient with Jamison Williams. All right, we have these players coming back after the bye, DeAndre Swift, yada yada yada, and it's now it becomes an issue because the losses are here, and I'm not about looking at a GM for wins and losses. I'm looking at what talent have you given me, and all I could ask is 2 starters, legitimate starters, every draft. That's all I can ask for. Anything more than that is very unrealistic. I know people like to get their hopes up. The truth is, a good GM gets you 2 starters a draft, depending on how much draft capital they have. So let's go back to last season. You get Penei Sewell, you get Aleem McNeil, you get Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are 3 quality starters, one of which can be all-pro. The other, Amon-Ra, has Pro Bowl potential. 3 in the first draft. This past draft, Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks, all in one game, up and down performances. Not the best start to his rookie campaign, but he is a starter. And you expect him, the number 2 overall pick, to be a difference maker over the coming weeks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks.
Yeah. The jury's not written out on Jameson.
But that's 4.
Right.
So I'm already done. And I haven't even had the conversation of Jamison Williams. I haven't had a conversation about Pascal I have not seen on the field, which I agree, by the way, Rick. Very frustrating that through 2 years, no second rounder has seen the field. You have every right to be upset. I will not knock anybody for that. Having said that, Kirby Joseph has seen the field. He is now a starter with the Tracy Walker injury. You look at Malcolm, a starting line. I've had 6 starters already on this football team. 6 through 2 draft classes.
Mm-hmm.
GM's not the problem. I don't want to hear about the GM. I want to hear about the coach who plays the game of football like my son would. My 7-year-old who would play Madden for the first time.
Right.
That's how Dan Campbell calls the game. Help me make sense of that. And where I'm getting at, Jeff, and again, to Rick's point, frustrating that you haven't seen a second rounder. Frustrating that you haven't seen J-Mo yet. Fair. Totally fair. Brad Holmes is not 100% absolved from any of this. He gets part of the blame.
You've acknowledged that.
But
yeah.
I believe 80% of it is coaching. And I believe if this is a 2-3 or 3-2 football team that, quote, is going to get healthy in the bye week, I don't believe we're having this discussion. I just don't. So it's easy to bring up the GM now, Jeff. Nobody was talking about the GM and the talent when it was 38-35 against Philly. Nobody brought it up when they shut out Washington in the first half. Mm-hmm. Nobody brought it up when Tracy Walker even got hurt in the third game against Minnesota, and they blew that fourth quarter lead. Nobody brought it up. They didn't even bring it up after the Seattle game. How could you not force a punt? And now you're 1-4. Now we're the pitchforks are up.
Yeah, it's time to hit the panic button. Yeah.
Look at your head coach. Do me a favor. Stay away from the GM, who has yet to make 2 key decisions: quarterback and head coach.
Right.
I'll do my job. I'll take the step back for all of you. You guys can all live in like really panic mode right now. Oh my God, the GM is not getting 6 starters through 2 drafts.
Right.
And not all of them can be all pro. Not all of them can be Pro Bowlers. But you already have 2 that are Pro Bowl level. And you have a third in Aiden Hutchinson who has that potential, which is why you drafted him number 2 overall. And Jamison Williams has that same potential. But yes, like you said, Adham does nothing for me. They're not on the field. Fair. Totally fair. Very frustrating. You knew what you were getting out of J-Mo. Nobody complained about Jamison Williams before the season started. You're 1-4. Now it's a problem. I don't like it. I don't like the direction we've gone.
Yeah.
I don't like the direction the fan base has gone on the GM, who, again, has fixed the salary cap, has gotten you 6 starters through 2 drafts. The last of my concerns is whether or not this guy can spot talent and draft talent. Am I, quote, concerned that he's drafting injured players? Yeah, sure. I don't like it. Every GM is going to make mistakes. Every GM is going to make mistakes, just like every coach will make mistakes. The problem is your head coach is making the same mistakes year after year, game after game after game after game after game. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, you want to put blame? I would go 80-20. Dan Campbell gets a majority of it. You want to put the 20% on Josh Pascal not being available? You want to put the 20% on J-Mo not being available?
Yeah.
Or Levi being hurt?
J-Mo is the most ridiculous
I can't do
thing.
anything about Levi being hurt.
Yeah.
I really can't.
And Levi, no one expected. I mean, how do you expect a guy to have a back injury? Like, that's not Brad's. How is that Brad's issue? I mean, you draft Levi because you think he'd be a great player, a starter for your defense.
Again,
he has a back injury. Now that's Brad's fault. Like, I don't. Jamison Williams is the one I will not take. I'm not willing to have the conversation about drafting injured players like Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams, if he didn't get injured, he would have been the first wide receiver taken off the board.
You wouldn't have him.
You wouldn't have had him. You take him. Brad knew. Everyone, all Lions fans knew what they were getting into. We were not going to have this man till midway through the season, maybe even towards the end of the season. But it's a future gamble. This is a guy that you believe can be a premier wide receiver in the NFL.
It is.
So I don't want to hear it.
It is comments like this.
It's too early.
Mark Gonzalez, Adham. You are giving Brad Holmes credit for picks that are, quote, starting. They are starting because the rest of the roster is trash outside of Panay and maybe St. Brown. Really?
Or because they're
I'm sorry.
They're young.
We're going to backtrack.
Right.
Before the season, what was the expectation? 7 to 8 wins. Consensus across the board. Most common sense fans, 7 to 8 wins given the schedule, given the talent on offense, and given the step forward you expected the defense to take. The defense has not taken a step forward. And no, it's not just because of injuries. The team has lost games, not because of injuries, not because of performance. They've lost because of decisions your head coach continues to make that shoot them in the foot. But you don't want to have that conversation this morning. I get it. You don't want to do it, so we're not. We're going to move on. Anthony Broome will be on in just a minute. We'll be back. But before we go, I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing right now. Jeff, we got to talk about Guardian Alarm, please.
Yeah, let me tell you about it. Because, guys, we understand how young this Lions defense is. But I will say this. Fall is here, and Guardian Alarm can give you peace of mind. And while you're out enjoying the fall, call 1-800-STAY-OUT today, and you can rest easy knowing you have 24/7 protection. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Let them know your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Time to talk about Swiss. Not Ham and Swiss, Swiss Insurance Group. And did you know that 1 in 6 kids will develop a medical condition that makes them uninsurable? Swiss Insurance can save you money on your auto and home, resulting in no out-of-pocket costs to insure your children. Check with Mark at Swiss Insurance and make sure your family is protected.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show, joined by our good friend Anthony Broome. Anthony, congratulations. Michigan 6-0. Going into a top 10 matchup against Penn State this weekend. The biggest game of the season. Really gives me the Michigan State vibes going into last season when I believe both teams were 7-0 heading into that matchup. This is the week, man. We talk about the Big Ten schedule. We talk about the big games that go on throughout the season. This is it. This is the official litmus test for Michigan. Anthony, are they up for the challenge, and how confident are you in J.J. McCarthy so far this season?
Yeah, I think they're definitely up for the challenge. This is a group that, and also, again, thank you for playing ball with me today. I'm doing this segment from a rental car.
Anything for you. Stop it.
Basketball Media Day coming up here, so coverage of that over the next couple of days. But, yeah, as far as the football game goes, this is, you play a 12-game regular season, but there are probably 3 or 4 games. Like, if every week is a pop quiz, every, 3 or 4 games on their schedule is the test where you find out what you really are, what you're going to be. In the Big Ten East, it's a pecking order game. This is every year, most years, and maybe this year's a little bit different because Michigan's the defending Big Ten champion, but your games in October against the Michigan States, the Penn States of the world, those are for the right for your game against Ohio State, whoever it winds up being, to matter the most. And that's what's on the line Saturday. I mean, this is an early, the biggest game in the Big Ten so far this season. As far, do I think Michigan's up for the challenge? Yeah, I don't think they've played their best 60-minute game yet. You see glimpses of it. The second half at Indiana, the first half at Iowa. It's all there. I mean, there are some wrinkles we still need to see. Offensively, defensively, some things need to be shored up. But this team makes adjustments, and its players have a counterpunch, and that's the biggest thing. My biggest takeaway from these first 6 games so far.
Anthony, and I want to ask you about Blake Corum. And obviously, we've seen the load he's had all year. And unlike last year, you had Hassan Haskins and you had Blake Corum. Is this sustainable to kind of ride the back of Blake Corum through the rest of the season, in your opinion?
I think it is. He's a guy that I think, he added about 10, 12 pounds of muscle over the offseason with the knowledge that he was going to have to take on a little bit more of that burden of being a lead back. Coming into the year, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be 1A and 1B with him and Donovan Edwards. Edwards has had some injuries, and I still think, he has some work to do as a between the tackles runner and as a true running back. He's a great offensive weapon, catches the ball as good as any running back in the country, in my opinion. But, Blake Corum, he's Jim Harbaugh a couple weeks ago when we talked to him said, he thinks that he could give Blake Corum is the type of guy you could probably give 25 carries in the noon game, and he can come right back around and take 25 more at 3:30, and maybe another batch of them in the primetime game. He's physically looks the part. I don't think there hasn't been any injuries with him so far. I know people want to see them pass the ball more, and they threw the ball the most they have this season in that game at Indiana on Saturday, but Blake Corum is just he's a wrecking ball. You start throwing the ball 40 times a game, and people will say, well, why isn't Blake Corum getting the ball more? He is the biggest key to why Michigan is so balanced offensively right now. And it starts up front with the offensive line. Those guys have played really well. Again, they're starting to hit their stride. But, yeah, he is kind of, there's a bit of hubris in it. But Michigan is comfortable running into 10-man boxes with that guy because he can make a play out of nothing. So, you don't want to be that stubborn and do it like they did against Indiana, but, they feel really confident that if they need to give him 40 carries in a game, that he can hold up there.
And another person, obviously, we talked about it, J.J. McCarthy, a guy that, we talked about on the show before the game about how you want to see him air it out, especially at 300 yards on 36 pass attempts. 11 of those receptions were to Ronnie Bell. But for J.J., how big of a game is this for him? Because we talk about eventually that big mountain you got to climb at the end of the year at Ohio State. But how big of a test is it for J.J. to go and face a Penn State who had the bye week, had the entire week to watch Michigan? In your opinion, how big of a game is it this week for Michigan for JJ to kind of get that measuring stick for Ohio State at the end of the year?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I know there's an aspect of it where it's a measuring stick for Ohio State, sure, but they have to beat Penn State. Penn State's a top 10 ranked team. J.J. McCarthy has been, again, it feels like there's some potential being left on the field at times where you look at opportunities for big plays or touchdowns through the air, and then you sit back and you look at the game grades or the box score. He's been so accurate, so efficient. I know the whole debate was, when he can get on the field and start doing the things that Cade McNamara did, he'll be able to surpass him. And obviously JJ wins the job, but He's doing the things that Cade McNamara did better than McNamara did in terms of the intermediate passing game, the accuracy. I think Cade completed about 64% of his passes last year. JJ's around 78, 79% right now. The deep balls, I mean, that's a hard throw to make. He's taken a lot of crap on that, but this isn't the air raid. Michigan's running a, kind of a power West Coast style of offense. So, they'll take the shots when they're there, but I mean, he has such a, and he's going to make mistakes too. There's, anytime you have a Jim Harbaugh coach team, especially at quarterback, sometimes they're a little bit risk averse at quarterback where they want to rein those guys in and not let them kind of be what they are and run like the stallions that they are. But so J.J. McCarthy throws an interception on Saturday at Indiana, and everyone goes, oh, here we go. The unpoised young quarterback, the gunslinger, makes a mistake. He comes back and goes 10 for 10 for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. When you make mistakes, it's not about the mistake that happened. It's what you follow it up with. And every time that he's made one this year, that was his first interception, but there have been fumbles and errant throws. He comes back and he just he continues to impress. So we haven't seen his best football yet either, but even now I think he's ranked 12th in the country in QBR by ESPN. He's been very good. I'll stop short of saying great, but I mean, in terms of what he needs to do to run Michigan's offense, I'm seeing what I thought I would see out of him.
Fair enough. Anthony, I got to let you go on this one. Blake Corum, through 6 games, has more yards rushing and more touchdowns than both Mark Ingram did and Derrick Henry did through their first 6 games.
Are you about to say what I think you're about to say?
The year they won the Heisman. Hear me out.
No,
I'm not saying he's a Heisman candidate right now or a front runner. He isn't. But, Anthony, at the pace he's going, we talked about Kenneth Walker last year. Do I think Blake has had his, quote, Heisman moment outside of, that 4-touchdown game? Could be wrong. Maybe it was 5, actually.
5 against Michigan.
5 against, who was it? Not Indiana, the week before. I'm losing my mind. Anyways, Anthony, the point is, Blake Corum, is he a legitimate Heisman candidate given his stats that he's putting up so far through 6 games?
You put up those type of numbers, and you're going to make a case for yourself. And we know that, like Kenneth Walker, if there's a running back in modern times that should have been in New York last year, a couple games probably held him back, but that's about as close as you can get. If Blake Corum has a huge game in those big games when voters are watching, because that's the biggest thing. It's what you do when the voters are actually watching. I think he has as good a shot as anyone. It's become a quarterback's award. I don't know that there's a quarterback out there that is really running away with this right now. I mean, are you going to give it to C.J. Stroud for throwing to wide open wide receivers every week? I mean, I don't know. It's Bryce Young is hurt. He's the guy who won it last year, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, he has a shot to be there, and it's way too early to predict that he will. I mean, God, injuries, knock on wood, you don't want guys getting banged up, especially we'll see if he still has this type of workload moving forward. But, yeah, he has a legitimate shot to be there. He's got that look in his eye right now, and he's just not I get the sense this is probably going to be it for him at Michigan, and he's going to go out in a blaze of glory.
I love it. Well, Anthony, thanks so much for joining us. Have fun on your trip. I mean, God bless you. Thank you for giving us the 10, 15 minutes.
You're the man, Anthony.
Appreciate it as always, man. You have a good one.
Of course. Thank you, fellas.
Yep. That was Anthony Broome, everybody, from thewolverine.com. Make sure you check him out. Follow him on Twitter. Great follow. Make sure you subscribe to their articles as well. It's definitely worth the fee.
By the way,
to be reading every month.
Check out our college football show on Saturdays, because we had this Heisman discussion last Saturday, and I'm telling you, it's
I'm going to heat up if he continues this.
Exactly, it's going to heat up.
You don't have a choice at some point, right? Kenneth Walker didn't give you a choice after Michigan, right? It kind of just talk, and it was all this, and then it was 5 touchdowns against Michigan, undefeated matchup. Oh, yeah, we're talking about him moving forward, right? So, Blake, it could be this weekend against Penn State. Matchup of undefeateds, mid to late October. Here you go.
Could be his moment.
This could be your moment, Blake. So, should be fun. Top of the hour coming up in just a bit. When we get back, I've been waiting for this all show. And that is, I want to come full circle on Dan Campbell.
I can't wait for this one.
And I want to admit where I was wrong. And I want to take it from there. We'll take calls, 313-552-6322. We'll get into Jeff Okudah and then we'll get to MicroMike at 9:30. That and so much more coming up. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
For a limited time only, Big Boy is featuring all new burgers and loaded fries. And on top of that, they don't just have just the Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. And on top of that, they have the chili cheeseburger. And on top of that, they have the bacon blue. So go check it out. You can upgrade those fries as well. They have the chili cheese fries, the baked potato fries, and the nacho fries. Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
New to the game or a season better? OddsTrader.com has everything you need to make the right bet ahead of kickoff. Begin your handicapping journey with OddsTrader. Improve your edge by finding the best price on every game from sportsbooks in your backyard. Take advantage of the numerous sign-up bonus offers to pad your bankroll. Dive into key game statistics, player performance, and even account for the projected game day weather. Best of all, you can use the OddsTrader bet tracker to keep a log of your action. Welcome to OddsTrader, and best of luck.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Jeff Iafrate here with Chili Pepper Standing. And Chili Pepper Standing is where you'll find all the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. You can join the Pepper Club at Chili Pepper Standing, and you can get all the best deals. Plus, they will beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters, 27 locations, and more on the way.
Chili Pepper Stand.
Tell them, fish.
All right, we are back, top of the hour here on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you to everybody joining us over at woodwardsports.com, to everybody commenting in the Woodward Sports chat. Appreciate it as always. All right, Jeff. I was wrong.
Adam being wrong?
I was
I don't
wrong
think
about
that's ever
Dan
happened.
Campbell. I was. No, seriously.
Just say that about your bets.
No, because I'm still up, but regardless. Shut the hell up, fish. Mute your mic. I'm trying to make a point here. I was wrong about Dan Campbell, okay? When he was first hired, I called him a meathead. Questioned his credentials. No business coaching in the NFL, yada, yada, yada. Wasn't happy with the antics. Too much rah-rah, not enough substance.
We got into some arguments about it.
We got into a lot of arguments about it. And that was anywhere from June of 21 to August, September.
Yeah.
Right? And even on the 0-8, 0-9 start, well, we did this, right?
Yeah.
And, we're 5 games into the season. And, yeah, I'm pretty wrong about him. He's proven you and everybody else right. He's more than just a meathead. He's a goddamn idiot. He's a buffoon.
I knew you were going
He
there.
has zero football, common sense, IQ, acumen, you name it. He ain't got it. I was wrong about Dan Campbell. 4-17-1. 1-4 with historically the best offense through 4 games in NFL history. And then get shut out the week after. It's always the defense does really good and the offense doesn't, right? And then it's the offense does really good, but the defense doesn't.
The only complete performance was the first half against Washington. That was
if
really
any,
it.
yes.
That was it.
And we're sitting here now, and be honest with yourselves. Just be a little honest. Are we having the conversation about Brad Holmes, the talent, Dan Campbell, if this is a 3-2 football team? I want to know. Put it in the chat right now. Pin it at the top. Are we having these conversations? Are we having these very conversations? If the Lions are 2-3, but Dan Campbell didn't cost them 3 games, right? They just lost to better teams. Are you having this conversation if you're 3-2 and Dan hasn't made some of the play calling decisions he's made on 4th down? Are we having this topic? Are we having this discussion? Yes or no? I want to know from all of you. Jeff, yes or no?
No.
No. What a surprise. And this is someone across from me, who I respect very much,
right,
who's been very honest about his thoughts on Dan Campbell, which I appreciate, even if I didn't agree with him at times. But no, Jeff, we wouldn't be having these conversations. What we'd be talking about is a 2-3 or 3-2 football team entering a very difficult part of the schedule, but they're getting healthy, yada, 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 all these good things that would be happening. But no, it's not that they're 1-4. It's why they are 1-4.
Right, context.
And do you believe they are 1-4 because of the talent or because of the 4th down, bone-headed play calling your head coach has made? Or the onside kick against Philly? Or the timeout before half against Philly where you're now down 2 possessions instead of 1? What is it? The random timeout in the 3rd quarter against Philly? What about the running clock against Baltimore last year? How many examples do I need to bring up? How many? Pittsburgh? Cleveland? How many? I've got 22 games. I'm not saying fire the guy, by the way. Let's bring this back a little bit.
Right.
I am not saying fire Dan Campbell.
But you're skeptical. Very, very skeptical.
Not even that I'm skeptical at this point.
I'm
out. Done.
You're out.
But
if you're out.
But if I'm out, that means now he's coaching for his job.
Okay. I was going to say, if you're out.
If I believe in you, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, right? I'm going to sit up here and support you. I'm going to do my best to give logical answers on why. How long were we on the phone yesterday? On the show? An hour and a half. I waited an hour and a half for all of you good people here in Detroit to call me and give me one reason why I should believe in Dan Campbell, outside if he makes your balls feel good or that he has, nice pecs. Yeah, or he talks about his feelings, man. None of you called in.
Yeah.
None of you.
You can get a single one.
And you're 1-4. That's why we're having these talks. And I'm done after today. I'm done. Done till next week. Done talking about Dan for the rest of the week. I'm done after today. That's why you're having these conversations. Nobody would be talking about talent. Talent. Keyword. Talent. If the lines are 3-2 or 2-3. Right? Fair or not fair?
Fair. Fair.
And now I got to go, and I'm going to use the Giants example, whether you like it or not. Okay? You want to go to the Giants draft history? Let's go. Kayvon Thibodeau, who's only played 3 games this year. Evan Neal, who's played them all. He's been okay. He hasn't been great.
Yeah,
he hasn't been good. Daniel Bellinger, a 4th-round tight end, has been nice. And that's about it. That's about it. Nobody else is putting up anything from this draft class for the Giants. So they have one player contributing full-time outside of Evan Neal, and that's Daniel Bellinger, a 4th-round tight end. Kayvon Thibodeau on and off injured at the moment, but we all expect him to be fine, so I'm not going to even go there. The year before, you know who they drafted? Kadarius Toney, Azeez Ojulari, Aaron Robinson, Ellerson Smith, Gary Brightwell, Rodarius Williams. Do you know anybody from that list outside of Azeez? No, the hell you don't.
Yeah, Kadarius, he's...
No, the hell you don't.
He hasn't played a ton.
How about the year prior? Andrew Thomas. The only player that they got. He's good. He's very good.
Very good.
Only player that come out of that draft worth their salt. Maybe I would give you Xavier McKinney.
So they're averaging, you're saying one starter.
One player.
One key starter a draft.
And they don't go out and spend money because the GM before Brian Dable show up messed it all up by giving it to Kenny Galladay and everything else that they've done. The Giants were a mess. They're 4-1. Well, Adam, they're scheduled. They're scheduled. They beat the Titans, they beat the Bears, and they beat the
3-2 Titans? Oh.
They beat the Packers.
The Packers?
They beat the Titans.
Yeah.
They're 4-1, and their only losses against the Cowboys, who are 4-1. They didn't get reinforcements this year. Nobody was talking about the Giants having a talented team. You want to see this? You want to hear the Giants starting 11 on offense? Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Marcus Johnson, David Sills V, Richie James, Daniel Bellinger, A fullback who I'm not even going to say his name. Andrew Thomas, Ben Brederson, Joe Feliciano, Mark Lonowski, and Evan Neal.
So what you're saying is their offense is Saquon Barkley.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's Saquon
Their
Barkley.
defense, Azeez Ojulari, who's been out. Dexter Lawrence, I like him. He's been playing.
Yeah, he's really
Leonard Williams, who's been out, hasn't played a game yet. Kayvon Thibodeau, on and off, injured.
Dory Jackson didn't.
Jalen Smith, Trey Crowder, wow.
Jalen Smith was on the practice squad.
Oh my God. Dory Jackson, been out. Denari Holmes, that's your corner. Your slot corner, O'Shane Eximius. I don't even know how to say his name.
Yeah, they have yeah.
Fabian Moreau, injured. Xavier McKinney, solid.
Yeah, he is solid.
Julian Love, okay. Where's the talent on New York? And that's where I am drawing my damn line. Let's go to the Atlanta Falcons since we want to play this game. Let's go to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons on offense line up with Marcus Mariota, Tyler Ledrier, Drake London, some dude named Zacchaeus, Kyle Pitts who's injured and has been a bust in year 2, Jake Matthews, old as hell, Elijah Wilkinson, Drew Dahlman, Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGray. The worst in New York on offense. They're worse than New York. They're 9-13 under Arthur Smith. Defense, Traquan Graham, Abdullah Anderson, Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's a solid, damn good player.
Yeah.
Mikael Walker, Rashawn Evans, Lorenzo Carter, AJ Terrell's a damn good corner. Richie Grant, Casey Hayward.
Richie Grant.
There's a few.
Yeah.
Where is the talent that I'm missing? Why they're 9-13 through 2 years, and they've been in a clear rebuild.
Yeah.
Atlanta has been in a clear rebuild. They didn't give Matt Ryan anything. Matt Ryan sucks.
They don't have the offensive
line. And then
line.
they traded him away, going into a clear rebuild, and they still have more wins than you, and they're still putting in a better effort on defense than your football team. But it's talent. It's talent. So yes, I have come full circle on Dan. I'm done. And no, that does not mean I'm saying fire him. But what it means is I'm done restraining myself from calling out his BS, his ass clown decisions. He's had 9 of them, Jeff, in 2 years. He's played 22 games, and I'm being nice on only saying 9. 9 of the 22 games, he's made bonehead decisions. That doesn't include the 2 or 3 per game that he makes. He makes an awful decision, more than an awful decision, 1.2 times a game. Does that make sense to any of you? So that's where I'm at this morning. And should Dan Campbell get a chance? Yes, he should. Again, I'm not saying fire him. Dan Campbell should get every opportunity for the rest of the season to prove his worth. But I am done pulling the reins on him. I'm done restraining myself. You are a professional head football coach. I expect you to make the right decision 9 times out of 10. Not 3 times out of 10, buddy. 4th and 9, inexcusable. That was a Rod Marinelli decision. That's a Hugh Jackson decision. And then you know what kills me the most, by the way, guys? Because I tried. I really tried. But it's this quote from Dan Campbell, Jeff. And I want to know what you think. Quote, now, I did think we got some manageable downs. We just weren't able to convert them. The guy is a lunatic. He won't even look himself in the mirror and admit that he's making the wrong decision 9 out of 10 times. Right. He's now doubling down on it and saying it was just one of those days, you know. Our offense, man, has been pretty steady, man. Has pretty well, man. But this is the day, it's just that type of day where it didn't go well, man. And you know, we never really got into a true rhythm, man. We couldn't convert, man. We couldn't stay on the field, man. Can you coach, man? 22 games and he can't coach. He has 12 games the rest of the season to shut me up, do a good job, coach the team up, get them to play more consistently, have all 3 phases of the game, special teams, defense, offense, it can all come together. He still has that opportunity. I'm not saying fire him. But I am done hearing this belief in Dan Campbell that is not predicated on anything outside of feelings, man. I feel good, man. I'm taking steroids, man. I'm wearing a helmet, man. I got a grit hat on, man. None of it. None of it related to football. That's why I'm out. I'm not saying fire him. But, Jeff, that's where I'm at this morning.
And I can't blame you. I mean, for me personally, I'm going to give him the rest of the season. He still has an entire 12 games to prove himself. But on top of that, and the point that I've been making, and this is what worries me because I'm hearing everything you're saying. If people want to use the talent argument, what happens when this team is even more talented? Can you trust Dan Campbell in those situations? Look what was happening over with LA with the Chargers, with Brandon Staley. Team is uber talented. I know they have injuries. Brandon Staley's decision-making is already, you saw Keenan Allen's tweet. If you follow Keenan Allen, he's like, what is going on? What was that decision to go for it there? Talking about Brandon Staley. Like, Brandon Staley may be fired because of his decision-making in games, even though his roster's uberly talented. I think Dan Campbell gets that pass because there isn't talent. But that's not my problem. It's not the talent. It's his coaching ability in terms of making those decisions. I think he can coach. Can he be a great coach? I don't know. I have yet to see that.
Again, I'm sorry.
What advantage does he bring you from a week-to-week basis?
So that's where I draw the line and say, when you say something like, I think he can coach, you may think he can coach. He hasn't shown me in 22 games that he can coach. Outside of Arizona, which is the only game, all three phases of the game, they put it together for 4 quarters. That's the only game. You gave up, 51 to Seattle last year? 59, something along those lines?
Mm-hmm.
You know what you do the following year with no Russell Wilson? Give him 48. What an improvement. We're not having this discussion if this head coach is overachieving. God forbid, by the way, God forbid in Detroit, your football team overachieves. It's okay in New York, right? Because the Jets and Giants are overachieving. And no, I don't think the Giants are division winners. I don't think they're NFC contenders. No, I don't. But you know what the coach is doing? He's going out there and giving his team the best opportunity to win every Sunday, and they've won 4 of his first 5 games. 4 of which, those 4 wins, are as many as your head coach has won in 22 games.
And people can't even use it's a really young roster. You know who has a younger roster than the Detroit Lions? Atlanta.
Philly and Atlanta have just as young of a roster.
Like, right now in rankings, average age for the roster at 30th, 32, meaning the youngest. 30th is the Lions, 31.
Who's 32?
The Browns.
Who's 31?
The Falcons.
Who's 29?
The Cowboys. 28's Jacksonville.
Who's 27? 26? Give them to me.
Then we're getting out of the Rams, and then you get the Panthers, Vikings. The Giants are 22nd. Eagles are 20th. Like, Jets are 18th.
That's
so,
fine.
Again, I mean, you can use that card, but
let's take a quick pause.
It's a tough one.
When we get back, we're going to go to the people. We've got Salty, Dr. Detroit, Christian, Ryan, all on the line waiting patiently. Appreciate you guys. We'll be right back. We'll take your calls. And I also would implore all of you to call in, all of the free Hefe people.
Oh.
You are more than welcome to call in, because free Hefe season, I didn't know that meant being ranked 72nd in pass coverage. Because that's where he's at. We'll get to that in a little bit, but before we go, Jeff, you got to tell everybody at home about OddsTrader.
OddsTrader.com is the #1 site for your game day bets, play-by-play updates, live scores, and the best price on every game from multiple sports books. If you want to bet against the Lions, for the Lions, go check out OddsTrader.com and go to OddsTrader.com right now for your best bet.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991? Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
All right, well, thankfully none of you, or at least I hope none of you, look like Matt Patricia. But if you do, it's time to go to Custom Health Centers. It's time to get your body and fight against your weight. and get in shape. Feel like summer packed on way too many pounds for you? Well, Custom Health Centers takes the willpower out of weight loss. Whether you need 20 or 120 pounds in weight loss, Custom Health Centers will help you do it quickly and safely, which is the most important thing. Go to CustomHealthCenters.com or give them a call today, 844-789-THIN. That's 844-789-THIN. We're back. We're back. And you know what? I like to take things with a pinch of salt. Do I believe PFF gets all their ratings correct all the time? No, I do not. But Jeff Okudah is 72nd in pass coverage.
Well,
and I was told it's free Hefe season. And I was told I need to apologize to Jeff Okudah. Because he's walking around Allen Park like he owns that bitch. But he don't play like it. But what do I know? Sauce Gardner playing better than him. What do I know? Will Harris playing better than him. What do I know? Let's go to Dr. Detroit. Dr. Detroit, you are on the Morning Woodward Show out in Rochester. How you doing this morning, bud?
I'm doing wonderful, Adam. How about yourself?
Good, good. Couldn't be better.
Hey, so I just want to back you up. A lot of people are saying, oh, Adam said Dan was doing great. No. What Adam said was that Dan is a great emotional leader. We'll have to see what he's like on the sidelines. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. But I'm going to try to defend Dan Campbell today.
Okay, I'm listening.
So Dan Campbell, and this is my only defense, Adam. Like, I agree with everything. I'm not impressed with the sideline at all. But did he start at the same place that all those other coaches did with their respective teams? Did he start with did they start with $30 million in the hole like he did? I mean, did they start thinking a long-term rebuild, or were they retooling? I just want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Let me ask you this, because I do want to be fair, and I think you're 100% right in asking that question. But I do have the answer, and I'll follow it up with a question first. The question would be: Is there such a thing in the NFL as a long-term rebuild?
Well, is there such a thing in the NFL like the Lions?
That is a great counter argument. I won't lie to you, but I'm not doing that. That's not my job.
Okay.
My job isn't to give the Fords and the Lions a pass because they're the Lions. I want the Lions to be a respected franchise. I want the Lions to be a team that contends for the division every 3 years, wins the divisions every 3-4 years. That would be nice. That's what I want. You can't have what you want sometimes in life. And the problem I have with the argument, or the question you asked me, excuse me, let me answer that first. Atlanta, New York, whoever it may be, were they 30 in the hole? Were they this? Were they that? Well, Brian Daboll took over one of the worst salary cap situations as well, and he's only in year one. And with just as much talent, if not less talent, especially offensively, the Giants are finding ways to win football games. And again, I'm not asking much from this defense. I'm not saying a top 10, top 15, top 20 defense. If you had the number 24 ranked defense right now, you're probably 3-2, maybe even 4-1. But the reality is, they are historically bad, and on top of it, your coach is piling on with awful decisions. Dan Campbell last year, you got to zip your mouth. Everybody knew. I said it was a 3-win season. Now, what pissed me off last year was exactly what pisses me off right now. It's not just the losses. It's the decision-making. It's the fourth downs. It's the clown show onside kicks, the random timeouts, only to get beat out, stopping the clock against Lamar Jackson after you had sacked him last year, ridiculous. You got to go to this year, the onside kick against Philly, the timeout before halftime. It's, again, I could live with it if they're winning football games. But I can't if you're 1-4, and that's why I said earlier, Doc, I don't think you're calling in right now, and I don't think you're in the chat having a conversation about Dan Campbell if they're 2-3 or 3-2. I don't think that's the conversation. Hell, I could argue if they were a 1-4 football team right now, but they lost the games due to talent or due to, oh man, we just missed this play, or a kicker missed a field goal. You know what? We're having a different conversation this morning. But that's not the reality. The reality is the guy just can't get out of his own way. And I think that not overshadows, but really supersedes anything, whether it's Dan Campbell, whether it's Brett Holmes, whether it's the talent, whether it's the salary cap. So that's where I'm at this morning, Doc.
Yeah, I got to put myself out, bro. I'm on fire. I tried.
I know.
But you're right.
A lot of people tried, man. I tried. He's coaching for his job now for me. I'm not saying fire him, but he's coaching for his job. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for calling in. Let's go to Salty out in White Pigeon, Michigan. I've never heard of White Pigeon, Michigan in my life. Is that a thing? Or are we joking? That's a real city?
It is.
I never knew that.
Well, now you do. You learn something new every day.
I live under a rock. Sorry, guys. Salty, you're on the morning show. What's up, buddy?
What up, man? I just want to let you know, man, first off, that code is something special, man. Okay?
My wife's got to take all the credit for that, not me.
All right. Second off, man, I just want to bring this up, man. Okay? Dan Campbell was a rookie coach. Okay? We signed him to a 6-year deal. The Fords are not going to cut bait and eat however many million that they have to eat in order to get rid of him.
Point.
Okay? The Fords took Calvin Johnson's money back that he earned rightfully. You think they're going to give Dan Campbell however many odd million just to leave? No, it's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure we're still paying Patricia. I'm pretty sure we're still paying.
You are Salty. It's a
good to buy.
That is a good point, Salty. I gotta say though,
coach is a 6-year contract.
I gotta say, there's no such
we're
thing.
Invested,
Matt Rule
man.
was just
we're invested.
Yeah, but Matt Rule was just like go 2.2 years into a 7-year deal. The difference is, like you said though, what's his name? The owner, David Tepper, I believe. He's a hothead. He
blows money, man.
He's all about, I'm changing. I want to win. Yada, yada, yada. Are the Fords about that? Are the Fords willing to make that gut check decision at the end of the year? Salty, I think you're on to something there.
So here's where I'm at, right? I don't like the calls either. I don't like the 4th and 9 going for it instead of kicking a field goal. I don't like that. But we have to give him a chance to learn. He is the exact opposite from what Patricia was, as far as he is a player's coach. Now, we can't attract free agents to our town when you don't have any cap space. The only thing you can attract them with is, hey, there's a shiny head coach right here that players want to play for. You understand? We don't have the money. We didn't have the money the last 2 years.
Would you, as a player, rather be playing right now for Dan Campbell or Robert Saleh?
Well, here's what the players think, okay? It's
I don't care what the players think. That's the thing, because I've sat across Joyke Bell, and he's told me about how great Jim Caldwell was, and won't admit that Jim Caldwell was a goddamn idiot too, who couldn't manage the clock, who couldn't make 4th down decisions, who would just prep the team up and make them happy. Everybody feels good. That you got to win in the NFL, man. The dude has a 20% win rate.
It's not all about winning with the players, man. It is when you go to Tom Brady, but here's the kicker. Florida has no state tax. Texas has no state tax. You come to Michigan, we got 4 seasons. In January, you're going to be marching in snow, okay? You got to pay state tax.
There's a dome here.
It doesn't matter. You're going to walk outside, you're going to be cold, man.
Look,
it's December, it's cold here.
As much as Detroit isn't a free agent destination, I don't think free agency is going to be the ultimate way it's holding you back. At the end of the day, you build a contender, you win 11, 12 games, players are going to want to come play for you. Nobody wants to play for a joke franchise like Tampa Bay.
Yes, but here's why we need free agents, right? Look at our defense. You made the case against yourself. You were talking about the Falcons and how they don't have reliable players. They have more people who started on defense than we do. Who's on our defense, Adam? You didn't go over our defense.
I'm saying yours is just as bad as the Giants and the Falcons.
No. They're better is what I'm explaining to you. They have more people that have started in the NFL. The players on our defense, outside of what? Anzalone and Oruwariye, who has started in the NFL? 0. Okudah's been hurt.
You have Michael Brockers. You have Charles Harris. You have Tracy Walker before he got injured. Well, again, these are players that are on your football team that are underperforming. And again, you go to New York. Go to New York. Go to Atlanta. Yeah. You can pick out a few good players. I would agree with you 100% that are.
Look at their secondary.
A.J. Terrell is the only one you'll name from either football team that's good.
No. The slot corner from the Giants is having a hell of a year. And he played for Tennessee. I'm pretty sure he's like a 4-year pro. He's been in the league.
Again,
You know,
We're going to do this.
We don't have guys like
we're going to
that,
keep
man.
giving the
Our
coach
slot corner is
excuses.
an undrafted free
I'm
agent.
telling you, Salty, we're not talking about talent right now. I'll tell you why. Because if Dan Campbell doesn't shoot his football team in the foot, you're probably 2-3 or 3-2, and you're going into the bye week, and nobody's talking about the lack of talent on defense. Nobody's talking about the way the players are performing. Nobody's doing this conversation. That's the reality.
Here's the last thing the last point I want to bring up to you, Adam. Okay, our team, 3 out of the last 5 games this year, has spotted the other team 7 points automatically. Jared Goof has thrown 2 pick sixes and has fumbled a ball for another touchdown. Who is spotting the other team 7 points automatically? You're already in the hole. Now, I'm not saying it's all Jared's fault. He's having a decent year, right?
Oh,
but
God.
He's having a great year.
When you're playing down 7 with the defense we got, we don't have a chance. We can't contend with that, man. We can't.
Salty, I would agree. And you know what? Thank you for calling, buddy. Hell of a job. Well done. But at the same time, stop it. Your head coach is spotting teams multiple possessions in your own territory. Stop it. We're not growing up as an audience. We're just not. We continue to have the same conversation about, hey, you know what? Dan Campbell isn't working with enough. Dan Campbell isn't doing this. Dan Campbell doesn't have that. What does Brian Dable have? What does what's-his-face, Arthur Smith have? They don't have the offense that the Detroit Lions have. Now suddenly defense is everything? In an offensive league, suddenly defense is everything? Why can't you force a punt against Seattle? Why are you spotting a rookie quarterback in New England 3-6 points to start the game? Why? Why are you spotting Minnesota a short field with a minute left to go tie the game or beat you? Why? Why are you calling a timeout again and getting beat out of a timeout like you did against Philly? We don't ask those questions. It's only Adam. He doesn't have the talent. Fuck off. I'm done with the excuses. 22 games in, he's making the same bonehead decisions. If he wasn't, we're not having this conversation. Nobody talks about the talent if they're 2-3 or 3-2. Nobody talks about the talent if they're 4-1 like Brian Dable. They talk about how good of a coach he is, how he's coaching everybody up, but he's 1-4. Oh, he doesn't have enough. When we get back, MicroMike is going to join us. Maybe he'll talk some sense into me. Maybe I'm the one losing my mind this morning. Who knows? All that and so much more coming up in just a bit. But before we go, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness and their new special offer. You have now till the 14th. You got 2 days, guys. You got 2 days. $1 down, $10 a month. Sign up today. Act fast, in club or at planetfitness.com. We will be broadcasting live from Planet Fitness on Ryan Road in Sterling Heights. I expect to see all of you there. Wednesday, October 26th, and you'll be able to win prizes like the Michigan versus Michigan State tickets, 1 free year of a Black Card membership, signed Darren McCarty, and signed Braylon Edwards jerseys. That and so much more. Visit them at planetfitness.com. We'll see you in a bit.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
At Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You have a big project coming up? Well, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
Let's go to the people. Let's go to the voice of reason for the people. We are joined by MicroMike.
The
Mike.
man, the myth, the legend.
Man. Good morning.
No pun intended.
Man.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm real excited for today, man. We're going to be talking about how we got Hans alone. He's Thor, man. And we also got Michael Proctor's going to wield the hammer, Thor. Let's go, man.
Mike, look, we had a similar conversation yesterday with Luke G. All right, off the record over with him. But, Mike, just tell me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Just somebody explain to me why the Lions, who are very limited in talent on defense, but overly talented on offense, are somehow 1-4. Meanwhile, Atlanta is 2-3. The Jets are 3-2. Brian Dable with no Leonard Williams, no Aziz, no what's-his-face, the corner, Adoree Jackson who hasn't played.
Didn't play against
None
the
of
Packers.
that.
Right.
None of that. But they're able to find ways to win. And I'm the wrong guy. Adam's so mean. It's Brad Holmes. It's the talent. Mike, is it the talent, or can we all just admit through 22 games this guy's a god-you-know-what idiot?
Do the Detroit Lions lack talent? Yes. There's mistakes made. Has players been injured and hurting the Lions? Yes, absolutely. But you want to know what else does not work? Is when you're consistently going on fourth down and turning the ball over. Again, people don't realize if you go for it on fourth down, you don't make it, that's a turnover. Turnovers, you lose games. And last week, we had 6 turnovers there. Obviously, the fumble 6 and a pick. You're not going to win games at 8 turnovers. You have to be smart when you're doing the game, when you're making the right calls, you're taking the right timeouts at the right time. And Dan Campbell has failed multiple times this year so far regarding that. That 4th and 9 was utterly ridiculous. You can't do that. You do have special teams. You do have a punter. You do have a kicker. We don't know who the kicker is going to be week to week, but we do have a kicker. At some point, you have to rely on other part of the football team, not just the offense, but special teams. And yes, the defense has been bad. It's been awful. But you have to rely on them sometimes. And when you have a rookie quarterback, pin them back, see what the Lions can do. See what the defense can do. Give the defense 95 yards to spot instead of 40 yards. So, yes, mistakes absolutely has been made, and we can't do that. We're the Detroit Lions.
Well, you know,
Can
Mike,
you allow
it's not
stuff
fair.
like this? No.
But it's not fair, Mike, because they're not good on third down, right? They're not good on third down. You want to know who the Lions are better than on third down? They're better than the Indianapolis Colts, 2-2-1. They're better than the Arizona Cardinals, 2-3. They're better than the New York Giants are on third down. The Giants are 4-1. They're better than the Titans are on third down. The Titans are 3-2. They're better than the Bears. The Bears are 2-3. They're better than the Cowboys on third down. The Cowboys are 4-1. Every team they're better than on third down has a better record than them outside of the Houston Texans. It's not fair. They have to go for it. Dan doesn't have a choice, Adam. Dan doesn't have a choice. They're so bad on third down, Adam. What do we do? Dan has to go for it. What is he supposed to do? Better than the Colts, better than the Giants, better than the Titans, better than the Cowboys. All on third down. Keep making the excuses out of your ass.
Yeah, we got to stop with the excuses, folks. Look, if you look at the Detroit Lions, we have to make strides in the right direction. Last year, everybody understood the mess that was given to Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. It was an absolute mess. He had a pass. He had a pass from everybody. Second year, though, it's a little bit different. We got more talent regarding the draft, a little bit more in free agency, so we expect to make a jump. Did anyone expect a 1-4 start? Well, some of you may have, but we expected a little bit. The Lions, the way that they have played so far regarding the talent, at least they should have 2 wins. In my opinion, when you look at it, calls that has been made by Dan Campbell has hurt this team and resulted in loss. And that is absolutely true. The defense is terrible. The offense has held up pretty good. But we have to admit when mistakes are made and when you're going for it on fourth down, every single time, that's a mistake. When you spot a team like the Eagles with a timeout, that's a mistake. made mistakes.
Well, you know what? The
losses.
fourth down, though. Fourth down. What are we talking about here, right? Because last I checked, the Lions lead the NFL in fourth down attempts with 18. Second place, by the way, the Cardinals with 17. You know the difference? Even though the Cardinals suck, they've converted 11 of 17. The Lions, 8 of 18. You want to go by percentage? The Lions on fourth down have converted better than the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Niners, the Bucks, the Ravens, the Texans, the Bengals, the Packers, the Steelers, the Commanders, and the Colts. They are better on fourth down as well, better than all those teams. All those teams, again, except the Texans, have a better win record. What do you know? Excuses. It's the third. Well, it's third down. Well, it's a fourth down. What is it? What is it? Why is he going for it on 4th and 9? Why isn't he taking the points? Why is it so hard just to say, you know what? Common sense, Mike. I'm going to punt it here. I'm going to kick it here. I'm going to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. I don't want to hear about analytics. Mike, 22 games in, I'm out. He's coaching for his job in the next 12. Am I being too harsh? Or do you agree with me a little bit here by saying this guy has proven nothing except that he can make the players feel good by grabbing their nuts? Oh, and he's good at losing games. That's about it.
I don't think you're harsh at all. I think when you're an NFL head coach, there's only 32 of those jobs. You have to be able to perform and have somewhat of an expectation of being competent at your job. I understand making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but the problem right now with Dan Campbell is he's making the same mistake over and over and over again. And to me, it looked like it was extremely aggressive and he lacked confidence in his team. And that's a bad thing to have as a head coach. He's got multiple games to go this year, but it's not looking good when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills, the New York Giants, the Jets, the Jacksonville Jaguars. These teams have progressed, or they're either getting good or they're really good, and I'm sure the Lions are going to be favored to lose these games. You have to win. You have to be able to correct the mistakes and move forward. So, no, I don't think it's an overreaction. Absolutely not. Anybody that has a job, if you consistently fail at your job or you're making the same mistake over and over again, your boss is going to look at you and say, knock it off. If not, we're going to have to let you go.
Mike, let me ask you this. Netflix going into quarter one. The expectation is they're going to be up 17% in revenue, okay? They bring in the new CEO. CEO's going into his second year. Quarter one, we expect a anywhere from 10 to 17% jump in revenue. Positive. Quarter one finishes, they're down 33%. Oh, it's okay, right? Is that okay?
Absolutely not okay. It's absolutely not okay. It's not okay at all, folks. Accountability is vital towards the success of a business, for your personal growth, for anything. I was in the Army for 8 years, and we do after-action review anytime you're doing some sort of training. And I was in the infantry, so we would clear buildings, kick in doors, and we'd consistently do that day in and day out, time after each session, after-action review. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What can we grow on? What can we correct? If you're not correcting it time after time after time, stuff rolls downhill, folks, and it's not just on the soldier, it's on the team leader, it's on the squad leader, it's on the platoon sergeant, then the first sergeant. That's just the way that it works. Accountability is important, and Dan Campbell's got to get better. He's got to start winning. He's got to correct his mistakes, or somebody else is going to have to take over a job at some point.
Mike, how much of this blame, and I know we've had this conversation on the show as well, but with Brad Holmes, like we can talk about all the starters he's found in his last 2 drafts. He hasn't had the money to spend in free agency. I think it's way too early to even criticize Brad Holmes. But for those people saying, well, you drafted injured players, you draft a Levi, you draft a Josh Pascal, you draft Jameson, what are your thoughts on that? That I guess that stigma of blame Brad Holmes as well.
I am going to put some blame on Brad Holmes. I do think it's important to put blame on him. Some of the free agent signings, when you look at the Tim Boyle, the David Blau, Alex Anzalone, some of these guys, it's questionable decisions, and in the draft as well. Drafting a Levi Onwuzurike who has chronic back pain, and you knew that going in to looking at him as a prospect to potentially joining the team. Anybody that has had chronic back pain understands this is something that's going to continue over time, and he's a bigger guy. We're talking 300-plus pounds. That should have been a question mark, and you know what? Maybe we should pass on that. You know, regarding Jamison Williams, I understand drafting him for sure because he's a talent for the future of this team. I'm not too hard on that because he is a prospect that's going to elevate this offense, and we definitely do need a number one wide receiver, not just this year, but for the next 10 years. He is that type of prospect, a Tyreek Hill blowing up. But again, question marks with Joshua Pascal. Understand it. James Mitchell, question mark with the injuries there. If you look at Ifutu Melifonwu right now, he can't stay healthy. Everything should be scrutinized when you're 1-4. It shouldn't just be put blamed on one specific area. Everybody should have blame for that.
Yeah, no question. Another person that seems to be gotten some blame as well is Aiden Hutchinson. And listen, he had the 3 sacks in the first half against Washington. But again, Washington is one of those teams that are sacked the most, specifically Carson Wentz. Like, he always falls into sacks. But your opinion, Aiden Hutchinson, so far, I guess you could say through 5 games, 4 of the games, he hasn't really been an impact. But it's not all his fault. I guess you need Josh Pascal back. You need the rest of the defensive line to play better. John Kaminsky was a very underrated loss. But what's your thoughts on Aiden so far? I know people out there saying, well, he's a bust. I wouldn't go that far, and I think that's an overreaction. But what are your thoughts on kind of that narrative right now? Already brewing through 5 games of his rookie year, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, the bust narrative is a little bit ridiculous right now, folks. I always give prospects 3 years to really see, how they can develop. Has he made mistakes? Absolutely. The over-pursuing is ridiculous. It happens consistently. He needs to get better than that. He's got to beat his one-on-ones. He has to be better, and criticism is deserved toward Aiden Hutchinson. But guess what, folks? I bet you Aiden Hutchinson criticizes himself more than anybody in the media or myself or you guys alike. He has to play better. But at the end of the day, he can't do it all himself. Who else on the defensive line is going to help him out? Not really anybody. I mean, Ali McNeil, I like what he's doing, but is he a game wrecker on the defensive line? No. What about Charles Harris? Where has he been? Don't know. Where is Romeo Okwara? Well, he's on the sideline because he's injured, so I think defenses are pretty much easily going to go ahead and scheme around him, but he's got to play better. He's the second pick in the draft. He's got to play better, no doubt about it. But Kayvon Thibodeau, what's he been doing? Nothing. You look at the other prospects when it comes to the defensive line that came out in this draft, the first overall pick. Not a lot going on, so he's got to play better. We got a lot more games to go. I'm sure he will continue to stride in that direction, but it's incomplete for me right now. Not going to call him a bust. That's just ridiculous.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Mike, look, I appreciate it as always. Well done. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. One of my favorite people to bring on.
Yeah, Mike's
well
the
done.
man. No pun intended. Man.
Hey, man, look, I appreciate it, man. I just hope this bye week we're not going for it on 4th and 39, even though we're not playing a game, man. So make sure you hit that like button, man. Okay? Hit that like button. We're going to get to it, man.
I appreciate it, Mike. Have a good one, buddy. We'll talk
you're the
soon.
best, Mike.
Go Lions.
Oh, God.
Yeah, go Lions.
Oh, God.
Go Lions, for
All
sure.
right,
Go
look,
Lions, man.
We got, what, a minute, 2 minutes before Mailbag, so get your questions in the Woodward Sports chat. We'll answer all of them. Take the chance now. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Frog.
Well, guys, you can get a free Woodward Sports t-shirt at Big Frog, and all you got to do is head down to Big Frog in Novi, stop in, tell them we sent you, and they will print one out for you on the spot. So go to Big Frog in Novi today, get your free t-shirt, or visit them online. If you're watching at woodwardsports.com, you see the link, bigfrog.com/Novi.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries, what will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the 3 biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
All right, we are back 9:50 here on the Morning Woodward Show, just in time for Mailbag. Thank you to everybody in the Woodward Sports chat and everybody watching over at woodwardsports.com. Also, make sure you go to woodwardsports.com for all the latest news on your favorite sports teams. We have articles, news, stories breaking every single day.
I love this question, by the way. Woodwardsports.com, the chat thread. Lewis Bishop. Mailbag, do you think I could use the Dan Campbell excuse of needing 3 years to learn on the job to my boss?
Nope. No, you couldn't.
Just
no,
curious.
You couldn't.
Yeah, you're just curious. Paul Johnson asked, question, who will be the Lions' target in free agency at linebacker and safety? Well, I think right now it's probably a little too early, but those are two positions they're going to have to address. No question about it.
All right, Jeff and Adam. Hey, guys, if given the opportunity to hire his own coach, do you think that Brad Holmes would have picked Dan Campbell? Should Sheila have allowed him to hire his guy? Okay, you know what? That is such a not talked enough about thing. I'm not saying I'm not saying that Brad Holmes knows all, he's 100% right all the time. But if I'm a GM, I'm like kind of stumped why you're hiring somebody before I'm even in the building. But again, Sheila wanted culture. She wanted change. She didn't want anything to do with, winning. But if I'm Brad Holmes now, in my situation, well, hey, Sheila, that's not my guy. Hey, Sheila, that's not my quarterback. So how about we get going on the two most important decisions I will make as a GM, which is drafting a quarterback and hiring a head coach. And right now, it looks like he's going to have to hire a head coach sooner than later if Dan keeps this up.
And I think it was an overcorrection of what happened with the last regime, Bob Quinn bringing in his guy, Matt Patricia. But this is how it works.
That's like going from a wife beater, right? You date a guy, he beats the hell out of you, and then you date a guy that's way too nice to you, so now you're not happy either way. That doesn't make it okay.
And I think, can I give you my personal thoughts on it? I feel like if Brad were to interview somebody, he'd be looking at somebody over in L.A., one of those offensive coordinators, and he goes by the name of.
I don't want.
Okay, she clearly wanted winning.
I mean, he would have. That's the reality of it.
She changed her name to try to win.
She changed her name to try. Fish, shut the fuck up.
She wanted to win. Why did she change her name? She changed her name because of the whole culture that was there. She wants to win. You can't tell me she didn't want to win.
Shut the hell up. Mute your mic.
You don't just change your name. You don't change your name.
Shut the hell up, Fish. Mute your mic.
You don't change.
Shut up.
To try to not win.
Change his name to win. Change her name.
She changed her name.
She is.
Would you change your name?
Didn't I tell you shut the hell up?
She did change her name to get rid of that narrative.
Congratulations.
But that doesn't help anything that
I had a sex change. That doesn't make me better at my job.
Well,
I had a sex change, everybody. I'm a girl now. Woo! Doesn't make me better at my job.
Well, yeah.
He changed your name.
But she would have kept it if she didn't care.
Shut up, Fish.
She wanted to get rid of that narrative, Fish.
Shut up, Fish.
I get you.
I love you, buddy. Shut the hell up.
Get rid of that Ford narrative.
See?
Fish, how about you change your name?
Yeah,
what a difference that'll make.
I mean,
you know what? It's not Hugh Jackson's fault. No, it's not Hugh Jackson's fault that Cleveland sucked. It's his last name. He should have changed it to Hugh Bryant. He would have been so successful.
Okay, but if you get a name like
Matt Patricia
your name
failed because of his last name. If it was Matt Johnson, he would have been elite.
Okay, your name, Adam Beydoun. If you were getting cussed out and angry, people were death threatening you on, the socials and all that.
Fish, I get all of that. I get all of that. Yeah, I know. I'm not changing my name. It doesn't make me better at my job.
And you're right.
But you could try to change what's going on.
No, it's not how it works. Jeff, Adam, how ironic is Matthew Stafford's career going to end like it started, with a bad team getting his ass kicked? Thanks for the draft pick, Rams. I'll take the draft pick.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, no more. All those Detroit Rams fans, non-existent this year.
Well, look, I mean, the reality is they got what they wanted. The Lions got what they wanted.
Right.
Lions got draft capital and a bridge quarterback.
It was a win.
The Rams got a quarterback for 1 year that could go out and try to win a Super Bowl. They did. That is one of the most fair trades I've ever seen in the NFL history.
And on top of that, you got Jameson Williams out of that 32nd overall pick. So ended up working out. Let's see. William Turnbull asks, Mailbag, Jeff and Adam, why didn't we pick up Parsons and Jordan Davis to pair with Hutchinson?
Figured this was coming.
Because you traded Matthew Stafford to the Rams.
Both Campbell and Holmes need to be on the hot seat if there's no improvement this year. I agree.
I don't.
But
What
from
are
a
we
standpoint of Brad, it's tough because this is a guy that hasn't had a chance to go out and spend a lot of money yet. I mean, we're really going to kick him out after 2 years of just doing drafts. He had to fix the cap space. I mean, does this ring a bell? I mean, what are we doing? Get him out of town, Adam.
Do you see a comparison of Holmes and Campbell to Iserman and Blashill? Build around a coach you didn't choose before, moving on to the next one, and take the next guy to the next level. Excuse me, sorry, I totally botched that, Chris. I apologize, but maybe it's similar. But you don't have 5 years like Steve Yzerman had,
and Yzerman
you don't have those 4 years. And Yzerman,
he was
Brad
already
Holmes has done.
established.
He's brought you Panay, he brought you Raymond, he's brought you Amon-Ra, he's brought you Sider.
But to be fair, I mean, Yzerman did win a Stanley Cup.
Well,
though,
he was proven before, yes, of course. But
like Brad Holmes,
beyond
we don't
the
really
point,
know.
though, right? It is more difficult to turn things around in a year or two in a total rebuild in the NHL. In the NFL, it's totally possible. It happens every year, except in this town, where we say, well, they need 5 years, they need 6 years. Why? We should give them time.
What is this?
I don't know. I'm just really angry right now.
Trust me, I get it.
DC has cost us games. Holmes is doing his best with the money he had to work with.
Thank you, Anthony.
That is a very fair point.
It's a very
we're
good
not
point.
talking about Dan Campbell. I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm not saying it for the rest of the week. We're not talking about Dan, Motor City Dan Campbell, man.
Come
we're
on,
not talking
man.
about Dan Campbell. If they're 3-2, and if he didn't botch 2 to 3 games already this year, you're not talking about Dan Campbell. If they didn't force Seattle to punt once, if they closed the game out in Minnesota, if they took advantage of Philly early on, if they didn't do the onside kick, the timeout, etc., if they didn't get outcoached and shut out by Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, stop it.
Bailey
Adam,
Zapp.
do you think
Don't
this is
forget Bailey
exactly
Zapp.
what Holmes wanted, drafting injured players with the mindset of stashing? No, I don't believe in that. I don't believe any GM thinks in their job, which is one of the most high-pressure jobs outside of being a head coach, hey, I have the luxury of drafting players outside of JMO that I can wait a year or two on. That's not how it works. You draft players that can make an impact. Pascal needs to make an impact when he sees the field this year. So does Jameson Williams.
Speaking of stupid takes for me, am I wrong to say that did Brad Holmes want this secretly to fail since he didn't pick the coach?
No, that's
that
how
would
it
never
works.
happen.
Because he's held accountable too.
But he never picked the coach.
It doesn't matter.
But his job is to add talent. That's
Yes.
what he's based off of. He's done that. You know what I mean? Like if he purposely drafted a bunch of guys like us, I think he would be fine.
But
I mean, it's self-sabotage.
I don't know. I think I could do a lot better job than Dan could on the
talent. Are we
sideline.
agreeing he's adding talent?
Yeah, he is.
Well, look,
And
let's
it's
call
still
it that.
failing.
Let's
So-
call it that.
You're not wrong.
Thank you to
Fish.
everybody joining us this morning over at WoodwardSports.com. We appreciate all of you as always. Thank you to everybody in the chat over at Woodward Sports as well. Look, we're going to call it a show. We'll see you tomorrow. Lots of college football.
Yes.
Lots of wings. I didn't get to go to the wings today. Really upset about that. We didn't get to talk about the wings. We'll do the wings tomorrow. We'll do Michigan football, Michigan State football. We'll do a lot of college, a lot of basketball.
Thursday night
Maybe
football.
some NFL. I didn't get to go to Jeff Okudah yet. We got to talk about Free Half Face, so we'll talk about him tomorrow. Got a jam-packed show tomorrow. I'm excited. Jeff, appreciate it as always. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Fish, go to hell. You'll have a great rest of your day.
I'll
We'll
wait
see you
for that.
tomorrow on Thursday.
Go watch Champions League. It's going to be a good day. How do you not?